It is time to have a look at finance and what's in store this week with Scott Phillips, Chief Investment Officer from Motley. Scott, welcome back from your break, mate. Good evening.
Thank you, Peter. Good evening. It's great to be back.
Good to see you. In a few hours' time, the Reserve Bank Governor, Philip will speak at a seminar on the sidelines of the G20 finance meetings in Bali, a critical speech in the current environment. What can we expect from the Governor?
Peter, it really is. It's just such an important time. And of course, all eyes are on inflation and interest rates, but we have the rest of the economy, the rest of the digital economy in particular, still unfolding. He'll be talking about that. And of course, plenty of information, plenty of people watching to see what he does say about both the challenges and the opportunities of for the Australian economy, particularly with inflation so high, but unemployment very, very low, as we know.
On the data front, investor attention will be on the minutes from the last RBA meeting. What will you be looking for? And already, just reading and listening, there's talk about another major interest rate hike.
Yeah, there really is, because the RBA in the last set of minutes when the announcement was made, of course, 2 weeks ago, talked very clearly about the fact that it's still talking about the removal of extraordinary measures. So while we're thinking about rates going up and where they've gone from and to, the RBA taking the other approach, saying, look, these were extraordinary numbers. These were emergency levels, as they said plenty of times, and their language is still very clear. These are still lower levels than they should be, even for a neutral economy, without the sort of inflation that we're having. So we're still looking to see where neutral might be. The RBA has said in the past it could well be between 2 and 3%. That's the official cash rate. Just there might be another 1.5% or so before they get roughly back to the middle of that range. So plenty of potential rises ahead. Not great news for business borrowers or for home borrowers, of course. But that's the real focus and the real attention right now. The frankness of that language and the expectations of the size of the problem are what we'll be looking for in those minutes.
Scott, COVID very much back in the headlines. We've seen the federal government reinstate pandemic leave payments under pressure, I might say, from the premiers. What sort of repercussions will this have on the economy?
This is really important. Look, in the long term, we still have to work out how we're going to pay back this massive, massive debt and deficit, but both governments, both Liberal and Labor, have run up. That's still going to have to be resolved. In the meantime, we want to make sure the economy continues its strength. We just talked about that in the face of rising interest rates. If this keeps money in people's pockets, keeps people spending, keeps those businesses being supported, hard to see this as bad news. So good news overall to keep that money flowing through the economy and support people who can't work because of COVID infections. As I said, though, the big challenge for the governments of both stripes, the government and the opposition, is to work out what comes next. How do they pay back some of that debt we've run up?
And we're not talking millions or billions, we're talking trillions, right?
We really are, and that's why it's so ugly. We're going to get to, plenty of billions, probably $1 trillion in gross debt. Trying to get that repaid in any sort of time frame. It's not the sort of legacy we want to leave for our kids, Peter. So hopefully governments can grasp the nettle at some point. Maybe not even yet, because there's still plenty of challenges. But at some point, they're going to have to work out. I said both sides are going to have to come together somehow, drive some sort of grand bargain, and look at how we can pay this back.
Before we go, very quickly, how are we looking for tomorrow morning?
Yeah, good news to end the bulletin, which is nice. Gains of hopefully about 0.9% on Australian futures after the US markets were up 1.9% on Friday night our time. So fingers crossed for a good week on the ASX.
Scott Phillips, Chief Investment Officer, Motley. Terrific to have you back, my friend. Thanks for tonight.
Great, appreciate it. Thanks, Peter.